welcome to our virtual open day. Salamat datang, welcome to Green School Bali. We're here live in our jungle campus. My name's Leanne. I'm excited to welcome you here. We're just waiting for everyone to come into the Zoom call, so we'll take a few moments. But what I'd like to share with you today over the next 60 minutes or so, we have a lot of exciting content to share with you, and we also have some special guests here to speak to you live. So today I'm going to introduce you to our Head of Teaching and Learning, Sal Gordon, and our Head of Community and Environment, Ibu Kate Druhan. So some other things we're going to share with you today over the next hour or so. There's going to be some videos where you have a chance to get a sneak peek around our campus and learning environment. We're going to share more about our learning program here at Green School Bali. You're going to hear from some parents, and you're also going to hear a little bit about how we can support you if you are considering Green School Bali for your children over the next year or so. So stay tuned, and let me introduce you to our guests and host today. Hi.
Hi Leanne, thanks so much for the introduction.
Hi everyone.
Hey, this is Sal.
That's Kate.
So great to spend some time with you today. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to take a seat here and spend a little time with you. Yeah. So thanks for giving us some time. As Leanne said, we've got a few things to show you today. We want to open up. We'll share a few little insights into what's going on here at the school right now. And we have some content to share with you that gives you a sneak peek into the campus. As Leanne said, you'll hear more from Sal on our learning philosophy and our programs and experiences, and also some information about visas and what the experience is like for new families who've just recently joined us.
It's always really exciting, and it's a real pleasure to welcome people into a Green School Bali experience. It's obvious that we really love this place and this school, and it's a privilege to be able to spend some virtual time with you today.
And our favourite bit of these sessions is the opportunity to share with you towards the end some dialogue. So a chance to hear from you, your questions and your thoughts, things you would like to know about, and we're going to be all yours for a live chat.
Yeah. So I'd like to start by just describing what the learning program and what the school is like at the moment, if that's okay. We don't have full access to the campus. There's not a school in Indonesia that does at the moment, but we are running what we call a blended learning program. Now, by blended, we mean there are on-site times and there are home-based learning times. Our high school students, starting at the top, our high school students are doing 3 days of on-site learning and 2 days of home-based learning. And our middle school, primary and early years all do 4 days on site and 1 day at home-based learning. So it's not fully open. Even though the campus isn't fully open, the learning never stops and the learning is always open. It's in a slightly different model at the moment.
Yeah, it's a great way to open up the session by sharing what's happening right now. Like every school in the world, we've not been immune to the impacts of the global pandemic. So good to get that out there from the get-go.
It is providing us with some opportunities to learn. You know, blended learning is something that I think that will maybe a part of secondary, especially middle school and high school education in the future. Learning doesn't need to be at school. We know that we're all lifelong learners, but we can't just say that. We need to know that there are learning opportunities in your community, learning opportunities with your family, learning opportunities in study groups and things like that. And so it's an awesome opportunity amongst all these COVID challenges to create a new type of learning program and to look into the benefits and the positives that we can take at the moment from developing a blended learning program.
Yeah, nice insights, Sal. Thanks for sharing that to get the conversation started. And as you can see, we're coming to you live from the campus at Green School Bali. We're running this blended program from the campus here. No children here today, so we've got the place to ourselves.
It's all very quiet.
It is. Yeah. But it's great to see you all there on the Zoom call. You might want to give us a wave. That's always super nice. There we go.
Yay.
Hi, and we love seeing some children on the call as well. That's always special to us. So wherever you are in the world, thanks very much for joining us. We're going to throw over now to a video that gives you some insights into the campus, a little bit more on the learning, visas, and a few other pieces. And then we're going to be right here at the end of that to continue the conversation with you. So please enjoy.
Hi. I've made my way to the 3rd floor of the heart of school. The heart of school is our middle school learning neighbourhood. I'm in a typical bamboo green school classroom because you can see there is no walls. All of our classrooms are surrounded by gardens which our students play and learn in. We also have an amazing beautiful river that's running really loud just down the hill, our solar farms, the iHub, the music centres, art centres, everything here is amazing and provides probably that structural, that physical campus that we know that at Green School Bali helps us bring a learning program to life. Our students are provided the opportunities to not just learn about nature, but learn in nature. We have 4 learning neighbourhoods. Our youngest learners, the early years, up to kindergarten. Primary school, from grades 1 to 5. Middle school, grades 6, 7 and 8. And high school, grades 9 to 12. At Green School, our learning is for now, not for later. It needs to be fun, but it needs to be meaningful. And that looks different in each learning neighbourhood. Our early years program is nature and play based. Yes, students start to develop literacy and numeracy skills, but it's more important for our youngest learners to develop a connection with nature and a connection with their peers and a connection with their learning. In primary school, our students begin to learn who they are. They discover themselves, and our learning program allows that to happen. It makes that happen. And big projects, little projects, projects in the garden. Also strong thematics program connected to nature and sustainability. In middle school learning can become a little bit messy. Our middle school program is set up to allow students to elect certain parts of their learning program. So they have strong literacy and maths classes. They also have an amazing thematics program based on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Our grade 8 students at the end of middle school do a capstone project which is based on their own sustainability passion project. In high school, our students are ready to make an impact in the world. Our program allows students to develop the life skills required and the mindsets needed to take action and to use their learning. High school students do a lot of projects. Their culminating project, their Greenstone, is an amazing year-long learning journey where students choose a sustainability-based project and bring that project to life. We are a community of learners. It's not just a school community, it's about our local community too. We're not just an international school in an international bubble. We are deeply connected to our local community. I'm lucky to have with me today Ibu, how are you?
I'm good, thank you Pak Sar. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi. Ibu Dawi is a parent. Ibu Dawi has been on our board, and Ibu Dawi is an amazing, important member of our school administration team. Are you good today, Ibu?
Yeah, I'm feeling very good.
Talk to us, talk to us about the types of connections that we have with the culture of Bali at Green School Bali.
I feel so grateful becoming a part of this community because the local community here is really engaged and involved with the international community, and this is, I believe, that would be very important for our international community because we can bring everything together, like we connect. If we have something in our local community, we always have a chance to bring that together within our community. And for example, if we have like every 6-month celebration here for honoring Goddess of Knowledge, that's called Saraswati. So we're inviting all the community to come. We have dance, we have gamelan that every parent and their family can have it here together. So it's amazing.
So we learn and we share and we celebrate together.
That's what we're doing here.
As a global community.
As a global community. And other thing is also really, really interesting for me, so that this is becoming like the biggest reason for me as a parent to send my kids here at Green School. Yes.
Tell us why.
So,
what's about Green School for a local student?
As a Balinese community, we are like once again saying like this is a great opportunity that we have a chance to learn international education with that kind of standard that they can improve themselves. I mean, our local children here, but at the same time, we have a chance to bring our culture also with them. But we learn a lot also from our international community because this is like making a balance.
The learning is definitely two ways.
Yes, yeah. And we have a program if there is no COVID, we have like an after-school activities, we have a dance activities, we have gamelan activities.
So there's 37 local scholars at the school at the moment.
Yes, at the moment.
Yeah.
And
but we also, like you said, when we're allowed to fully open the campus, we invite more than 300 other local students to learn numeracy, literacy,
yes.
English skills, but also sustainability education.
Of course. Too. And other thing that is very interesting is also because we also still learn kelas budaya. Yes, budaya class and bahasa Indonesia. Yeah. So we bring that together in thematic, and then even like they put it in thematic and making like a such ogoh-ogoh. Maybe you know that kind of parade that's very famous here in Bali. Yeah, before Nyepi Day.
The big monsters.
Yes, the big monster. But a lot of things is inside there, like the local wisdom is in there. Yes.
That's beautiful. Thanks very much.
This is one of my favorite places on the campus. We're right down here by the river. Behind me is the Ayung, the Great Ayung River, and it powers right through our campus. It's a force of nature. It's also a source of energy. Right here down at the river, we have our very own micro hydro system, the Green School Vortex. And this Vortex provides a majority of the power that we use here on the campus, and it forms part of Operation Rain or Shine. So along with our other renewable energy systems, we try and offer a range of different learning opportunities for our children to see all the different ways Mother Nature can help power our campus, our community, and the world. Clean, renewable, and reliable energy. I'm here on the top floor of the heart of school, and this is home base for our middle schoolers. And you can see behind me here some of our renewable energy technologies. We really love the idea at Green School that the whole campus is a classroom, the whole campus is a laboratory, and that we can innovate and we can find solutions to real problems right here on the campus. This solar system here is part of Operation Rain or Shine, which was a high school-led initiative that's ongoing, looking at understanding and implementing different types of clean, reliable, renewable energy right here on our campus. Everyone in our community has a part to play in making our world sustainable, starting right here on the campus. We have in our main car park our waste recycling centre, so all families can bring their recyclables there, sorted, to be responsibly moved on to recyclers on the island. But the very best of that trash we keep right here on the campus, because this is a resource for learning. So in this area here in our Community Innovation Hub is Kembali. And in Kembali we have resources here that can be used. So some of these products can be used raw for projects here on the campus that the students are involved in. But we also have some really cool equipment in here. So we can take certain types of plastics and they can be processed into filament like this that can be further processed into a form that we can put into molds. So you can literally bring in some plastic trash and leave with a plate or a fork or a bowl or something useful. We've even had kids make recycled surfboard fins, which are really expensive here. So very cool product, limited only to the imagination. Here we are at the Human Resources Centre, otherwise known as the toilets. This is one example of our composting toilet system that we have at Green School. Composting toilets don't need to be nasty. We have a fantastic odourless, waterless, chemical-free system that takes human waste and turns it into organic matter that can go back into the earth in a really safe way. These toilets are really beautiful. Our parents helped design these structures. So they're super friendly, they're actually a work of art and really inviting, even for the tiniest of people. That's our take on composting toilets at Green School. Just pulling up in the garage, friends. We ride in style and sustainably at Green School. Our Biobus transport service normally operates 5 days a week, taking our children to school and back home again in the afternoons. Our biobuses run on used cooking oil, which the students are involved in collecting from hotels and restaurants around Bali. So it helps them dispose of used cooking oil in a responsible way, and it powers our buses. I'm not actually allowed to drive the biobus, but I am allowed to use this. So for any families who don't ride the biobus and have a diesel vehicle, they can fill their car up right here on the campus at the biodiesel pump station. As well as the biodiesel bus service and the pump station in the car park to fill up your diesel vehicle, we also have electric charge stations here on the campus. So electric motorbikes are a growing option for transport around Bali, and you can plug in right here. We're entering primary school, and in primary school every class has their own set of gardens that they work with. In the upper school, the students work with more cooperative gardens and working with permaculture principles to grow things that are beautiful but also that are edible and medicinal. And right here in primary at a grade 1 classroom, we can see in the garden here we've got corn, we've got papaya, we've got bananas, we've got flowers bringing the bees and the butterflies, and of course always so quintessentially Bali, the lemongrass. Our campus is wild. It's intentionally rugged. We design it this way. This is great for kids, gross motor skills, but also their cognitive development. So everything is designed by intention, but we work with what is already here. On my left here, you can see these beautiful springs. This is where we hold special ceremonies during the year. It's quite a sacred place on the campus. It's really calm and very peaceful. On my right, in contrast, this pit of mud comes to life because this is the Green School mud pit. It's a really popular place on the campus. So yes, our children get in here. It's like baby elephants on a hot day, cooling down in the mud and the water. Also, while I'm here, over there is Grasshopper Grove. This was named by our early years students because this is a great place to go if you want to find grasshoppers, dragonflies and butterflies. No two buildings on the Green School campus are the same. Every single one of them is unique. Every single one of them is also a work of art. We're here in the Green School Yoga Studio. This beautiful space comes to life when the children come in here for yoga sessions. Nothing is more beautiful than stopping in here and watching the 3-year-olds take yoga. It is pure joy. It's a beautiful space. I can hear the river behind me here. There's a gentle breeze coming through here. It's a very, very serene and special place on our campus. This is unbelievable. You know, at Green School, we're all about community, and rising behind me here is our new community centre. It's a gymnasium, it's a place for events, it's a place for gatherings, celebrations, our capstone events each year. We can't wait for it to be finished and get inside there. I'm here at the bridge, and this is Green School for grown-ups. Talks, courses, workshops, socialising, outings in Bali all come through the bridge. Right behind me here is our parent co-working space, but it's really much more than that. It's co-working, it's co-learning, it's co-creating, communicating, connecting, and building friendships. We really love the idea that Green School is not just for the children, it is for the grown-ups too. So being a community is very much an important piece of the Green School experience, right from the very beginning of the school, right through to today, even in the current situation. And I'm really happy to be here this morning in the bridge, which is the Green School co-working space, with my friend Sanjana, who is a new parent to Green School, just joined us this school year, and super nice to have a little chat with you, Sanjana.
Thrilled to be here. I'm so happy to finally be part of the bridge and with the Green School community.
Great. So we have had to be really creative around how we build and maintain and nurture our sense of community during this time over the past 12 months in particular. So a lot of the things we ordinarily do to help parents get involved with the school and feel connected, we've had to find creative ways around to still hold that space and hold that sense. It's really valuable to us. So in coming here as a new parent and connecting with the community, the parent community first and foremost, that's something we always hope and wish our parents experience when they're new here. And what's your experience been of that?
Before we actually moved to Green School to Bali, we came in to spend a couple of days to see how the community works last year. And I have to say that for 1 year, we've been talking about not our son joining the school, but us as a family getting involved with Green School. Now that I'm finally here, everything that we talked about for the last year is actually coming true. In its own way, in its own different way, but I don't think it's less than anything else that would have gone place. So
yeah,
thrilled to be here, and I can't imagine how much more active the community would be if we didn't have this pandemic situation to deal with.
Yeah, well, that's great, and it's reassuring to hear that. That's what we hope for our families, that they do feel connected and do feel part of a community and a movement, really. And we don't just hope for it, I guess. We try our best to sort of nurture that and nourish that in many different ways. Right here on the campus, we are opening up some parent programs, some outings for parents in Bali, called Truly Bali, to help our parents that have come from abroad to really connect more deeply with Bali and the experience there, as well as some events virtually and in person that we're running around really our parents sharing with other parents,
right,
their know-how, their story, their background, their skills and so on. And then taking that further to then connect our parents to our students. So one of the things we do is try and facilitate mentorships from our parent community to particularly our grade 12 students, but also our grade 8 students on their capstone projects. And
right,
that is just beautiful to watch that happen. And I think it's all part of the idea of walllessness, that walllessness is not just the physical way we arrange our campus and build our classrooms, but also the way we think about ourselves as a community, that it's not teachers in one group and students and parents are over here and that there's some sort of separation, but how can we find ways that work for everyone to create those connections?
That circle of trust, essentially what you're describing, is very obvious. It's there from the time I dropped my son off to the time I'm dealing with Bali and living in Bali, because I am new here, so I do have to deal with, I'm going to say this, bats and geckos and everything else, it's part of the experience. But it's not difficult. It's not been difficult at all because of that circle of trust. I can reach out to anybody and have a chat with them about what's the best way to do this. How do I react to this, and what do I need to do to think about this particular thing? So that circle of trust, it's very much alive, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that we made this decision to come.
Sanjana, we always encourage new parents to tap into the kind of the great font of wisdom that is our collective parent body, in all things sort of living in Bali. You talked about the bats and the geckos and all of those things, and the biggest sort of community of parents are really a hive of information and knowledge. Is that something you've been tapping into?
All the time. There's no question that's ridiculous to ask within that circle of trust. I can ask people where I can get the best mozzarella, to what do I need to do with bats, what do I need to do with bug sprays, and every aspect of life that I can think about, whether it's medical to whether it's more superficial, I want my comfort food, what do I need to do to get that? It's all addressed, and there are people there who have answers. 11 in the night you ask a question, 2 minutes later you get an answer. It's phenomenal. I can't believe that there is this circle of trust, and there's so much conversation that's happening. I think for me, apart from that fount of wisdom that you talked about, is the openness. There is no question that's ridiculous to ask, and I feel that. I don't feel hesitant, I don't feel nervous about asking anything really to that, within that circle. So that's amazing as well.
I'm here every day, and you sometimes forget how incredibly beautiful and original this campus is. And I'd love to ask you about your first impressions, the first time you physically set foot on the campus here.
You know, it was an incredible experience, but more than talking about my own experience and my husband's experience, because we had been exposed to the videos on YouTube, you know, we'd seen the TED Talks, we'd seen the website. I'd love to talk about how my son reacted to it. I have a 5-year-old, and we spent a day here at Green School, and at some point, 3 hours into spending that day, he turned around and he said, "Okay, but where's school?" And I said, "We are in school." He said, "No, but where's school? You know, the place where I'm supposed to study." And, you know, it took us 10 minutes to explain to him that this was his school, that he was going to be studying with cows and chickens and, you know, the vortex and the river, the bridge. That was his school. You know, that idea for me to explain to him that school can be as beautiful, as different from his imagination. He's only 5, you know. And yet that question was so strong, and that impression that it made on him was so vivid.
I love that. Out of the mouths of babes. Yeah. But where is school? He was looking for the box.
He was looking for the classroom.
Yes.
He was looking for the box. He
Yes.
was looking for
Yes.
the place where he could go in.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that there would be a teacher with a blackboard, there would be little desks, even, you know, little desks, because he's tiny.
Yeah.
But he was looking for that, and he just couldn't find that. And so he thought we were tricking him into saying yes, because we wanted him to agree to the decision as well. So he kept saying, "But where is school? You know, like, you're bringing me here to go to school. Where is school?" So that sort of, I think, clinched the decision for us as a family, that we wanted him to rethink what school could be. It was so important for us.
I love that. And how about settling into school? How's that process been for him?
Day 1, he didn't want to go in. Day 2, he didn't want to go in. Day 3, he complained because it was online school. He wanted to go back to campus. Day 4 onwards, I haven't heard, you know, a single complaint. He's up at 6 a.m., which is, you know, phenomenal for me. Getting ready to go to school and play with his friends. I think I have to say this, and I'm so grateful for all the teachers and, you know, for this community for keeping the school open. We spent 1 year last year not having this kind of interaction for him, and I know how much goes into that. So, thank you.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we do, and the energy, the colour, the movement, the sounds of having the children on site for learning is a beautiful thing, and we feel incredibly privileged to have him here, and incredibly grateful to all our families too, particularly our new families that have moved across the planet to be part of it. So it's fantastic talking with you this morning, Sanjana.
Thank you. It's anything I could do to talk about this. I'm thrilled to be here.
Should we go and have a cup of coffee?
Sure, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Fabrice. I'm a Green School parent, and my wife and I have one daughter basically at Green School, and she's attending grade 11. I've been here for 12 years, so I've known, and I do know very well, the ins and outs of traveling to Bali, living in Bali, and I'm happy to come here and share some tips with you. And next to that, I do also have a business, a travel business, that is basically helping and assisting people travel, especially through these troubled times. So to come to Indonesia, indeed, you do need a visa, and there's different types of visas. What is very important is that this is a very fluid situation, and that means that between now and when you plan to come in August or later in the year, many things might change, regulations might change. So it's very important that you stay in very close contact with school, and so that we can give you the most up-to-date information. Some families have a lot of experience already traveling around the world and sometimes resettling already, being expats, knowing the expat life. And others, it's your first time packing up your stuff and relocating on the other side of the world. And it's a huge decision. But always remember, especially with Green School, you're never alone. You never stand alone. You have a whole community around you. I personally, this is one of the reasons why I'm at Green School. It's this community life all around us, being as one, and that's just the beauty of the thing. Especially, and we've experienced that even more through this COVID time. So what I would recommend is, if you are still where you are and you're making your plans and you're trying to figure out how and what, make use of that community. And that means make sure that if you're a Facebook user that you use the Green School New Families page, that you join the Green School New Generation page. There's a housing page, there's a travel page. We've got WhatsApp groups for communities and for the community living here. So there's so many resources, and you'll see the moment you ask one question, you are going to have 100 answers to your question. So make use of it. We're here for you, and we look forward to welcoming you.
There's nothing quite like actually being here live on the campus, but we hope that that gave you a few insights into just really some of the highlights. It was the highlights tour, I think.
The highlights reel, yeah.
The highlights reel, yeah. So it's a beautiful... Well, we enjoyed putting it together, so we hope you enjoyed seeing that too. Thanks so much for your questions. Please keep them coming. You can put them in the chat. And Leanne is here to gather all of those up and sending them our way so we can answer them for you. We're all yours for the next little bit of time. So should we jump into some questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. And we know we have some children here with us.
I love kids questions.
Kids questions are great. We like to put the children first. So if the children have any questions, please do. Mum or dad or child, please put them in the chat, and we'd love to answer those for you. So let's get started. The first question I have here is about an application for a short-term experience, and I guess that brings up the more broad question around minimum enrolment periods.
Well, our early years can enroll for a semester, but minimum enrolment is for a year across the school, and our high school program, our high school diploma, requires you to be enrolled for grade 11 and 12. That's a 2-year commitment. Okay,
so 1 semester as a minimum in early years, and 1 year or 2 semesters across grade 1 through to 10. And then for grades 11 and 12, our diploma program, it's a 2-year program. Yeah. So that's fantastic. Great practical.
Good question.
Great practical question to get us
Takes a while
moving.
to settle in, you know. You'd think 1 semester is not really enough. You get sorted with housing and getting used to the new school, and then I suppose you go home after. Once you're just used to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think a lot of people probably think they might come for a short time and end up staying a little bit longer too.
Well, I think we have a question about that actually around how long people stay. So that would be a good time to tell a few anecdotes there. But just on that one about enrolment duration, short-term opportunities, talking about early years, middle school, primary school, high school. Good just to let people know perhaps, Sal, how the school is organised, our neighbourhoods within the community.
Yeah, okay. Well, I did sort of talk a little bit about that in the video that you saw. So early years, it starts at grade 3-year-olds. And so 3-year-old, 4 and 5, we call them geckos, starlings and kindy. Early years is a magic wonderland. They have their own little mini campus. So early years, 3, 4 and 5. And then grades 1 through to 5 is primary school. They also have their own part of the campus, that they have their own art space, their own library, their own drama space, their own music space, their own play spaces as well. Middle school grades 6, 7 and 8, and high school 9 to 12.
Yep, fantastic. Thanks, Sal. And we have 2 intakes per year. So August, which is semester 1 for us, and then again in January.
So it feels like a brand new start to the year.
It is.
Twice a year for us, isn't it?
Yes, excitement levels are always high.
But usually I don't know if there's a question about that. Normally there's 80 to 85% sort of retention of families every semester.
And from 1 year to the next.
From 1 year to the next. And so, it's the community stays connected, and there is a continuity of the community as well.
So let's answer that question that somebody asked while we're on the topic. So as Sal said, most of our community continues from 1 year to the next. So a lot of families come from multi-year experience or all the way through to graduation. Some are just coming for 1 year and do go back. It is quite often the case that families come for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years and end up finding creative ways to stay longer than that.
Yeah.
That was my story.
Teachers as well.
Yeah.
I think I had like a 3-year plan 8 years ago.
Yes.
So,
I had a 1 year plan 9 years ago. So not an uncommon green school family story.
yeah, all its beauty and its magic and its challenges and opportunities too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's great. Question here, Sal, this is really for you around the curriculum and looking at now the fact that we have green schools. We're growing a network around the world. So Green School Bali is the founding school, but we now have sister schools in New Zealand and South Africa and one coming in Mexico, Tulum, Mexico as well.
Yeah, the curriculum here, it's a misconception, I suppose, that you think that a place like Green School doesn't have a curriculum. We've definitely gone through historical periods of not being sure whether we should be an IB school or an IGCSE or follow a different national curriculum. In the past, well, really for 8 years, we've really been defining our own pedagogical belief. And from that, taking world's best practice curriculum and integrating it into what a Green School Bali experience might be. The curriculums, it's highly documented. There are learning outcomes, scope and sequence documents. We like to think that it's evolving in a way and adapting to the real world. The curriculum across the school has been accredited by an international organisation, WASC. We also have to satisfy Indonesian international school accreditation too. So, you know, it's nice to think that there is a nice, fluid, organic school in the jungle, but there is quite a bit of structure to the curriculum and thoughtful, intelligent expertise brought in from a lot of different educators to design an amazing green school curriculum. Now, that might look different in different green schools around the world. I know that our arts program, for example, our thematics program and things like that, as things that we can transfer to other green schools, Green School New Zealand, hello New Zealand, and hello brand new South Africa. But there are, you know, things I think in country-specific other green schools that they will have to do. They'll have to, New Zealand will have to follow a little bit of New Zealand curriculum. We've been really fortunate at Green School to be able to be given the opportunity to redesign the model of a school, which isn't just about what it looks like and how you build a community, but how you build learning experiences age appropriate through a school program. And it's an unbelievable opportunity, because I know working in government schools and other school systems that you are restrained in a way in how innovative you can be. We haven't had those constraints, and we've been able to build a learning program that is, oh, we're waving. Hi, kids. Yeah, sorry. Hey.
Hi.
Able to build a learning program for you guys that's real. Yeah. That's real and it's meaningful and it's fun, and you can use that learning now. Yeah.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
got distracted by the waving.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
A beautiful distraction. Yeah. That's fantastic. So I see a question here around what opportunities Green School Bali has for teachers and educators. So of course we employ teachers and educators here, and those positions get advertised, and we usually have an amazing, well, a difficult in a good way choice or process to choose who joins the team here at Green School Bali. But there are other opportunities for educators that aren't working here to connect with us and learn with us and share what they're doing with us, and for us to have an opportunity to share some of our practices here with them.
Yeah, we run some pretty cool Green Educators courses, launching a new online version of that soon. The concept of community of learners isn't something that you put in words on a website as our mission statement. You know, a community of learners making our world sustainable. It means that we're all part of this learning process, and we're all lifelong learners. We're all challenged, and we're all learning skills and values and knowledge along the way. And whether you're a parent who has a business here, or you're a parent that comes in as a teacher and educator, it doesn't matter who you are and what you're doing. Being a part of a Green School Bali community means you're part of a learning community, and that provides access to some amazing opportunities for everyone in our community.
Yeah, that's great.
Parent events at the Bridge, the adult learning space. Do you want to talk about that? That's a really cool thing for parents.
Yeah, I mean, we love, you know, we're here in this beautiful wall-less building, but it's really a metaphor for our model, really, as a school, but as a community. So, you know, the way parents can be involved and can give and receive as part of the experience here, and kick off their own learning journey, as well as our teachers with each other and connecting with other educators in the Green School Network, but outside of that as well through the Green Educator courses that we run, and opportunities for parents to connect with students too, particularly our older students, in mentoring them on their own individual capstone projects. So Yeah, there's a lot in there. And actually, folks, it's always helpful to pop over to the website at any stage. There's quite a lot in there and on there, which you can dive into and learn a bit more about the curriculum. I know, Julia, you've asked some questions there about primary school or elementary school in particular, and you can find out more information there on that. But Sal, do you want to just give a little bit of a deeper insight into primary, which is grades 1 to 5?
Yeah, there's definitely a strong focus on developing literacy and numeracy skills through primary. We know that's important at that stage, but we also know that our primary students at that age, and I've got kids that are primary age, are really starting to develop an understanding of who they are, and our learning program wants to connect students with who they are. So there's a lot of nature-based. There's an amazing community within the primary school. Their assemblies and presentations are quite amazing. They do some really cool thematics. I might just sort of like go on a tangent then. So a thematic, and I always get told by sort of non-educators, what's this thing called thematic? The thematic's real world teaching, where you don't go to a class and it's maths, you don't go to another class and it's science, and you don't go to another class that's literacy. We pick a theme. A lot of our themes are nature-based, sustainability-based, and you might study, let's just take an example, the oceans of the world. So that might be the theme, but you'll study a little bit of science in there. You'll do some literacy. You might do create a drama skit, get creative in a visual art sort of way. You'll look at the science of oceans. You'll look at historical ways. You'll look at how cultures have connected with oceans. So we teach a lot of really cool real world thematic things through primary as well. Primary have a great way of thinking about their progression of students, where they start off as children of the earth. They become guardians of the earth. And by the time when they're sort of leaving primary, they're really warriors of the earth. And so to be able to do that, you need to provide connections with real learning and connections with the natural world.
That's
infused completely across primary. Great art program, awesome science, green study science, and just a really cool little neighborhood within our school.
Nice. So, Julia, I hope you enjoyed that answer. There was quite a lot packed into those few sentences there. And I noticed Natasha also had a question around what the day in the life of a 6-year-old would look like. And I think that's a little bit of insight into that.
Well, they wake up and they want to go to school. School holidays are really bad here. School's too much fun. So parents during the school holidays get ready to be over inundated with requests to do amazing things. You know, a primary, let's say a grade 6, we go in kindy grade 1. They start with some community time. They always do some community time in the morning. They will move through lessons on literacy and numeracy and to develop those skills. They may spend time in the innovation hub doing a project. They will spend time in the gardens. They will move off to a music class. Our primary school does sort of stay in their peer groups for most of the time. Expect a 6-year-old to spend time in the garden, to spend time getting dirty, to spend time in the innovation hub, like I said, projects, learning a whole heap of different cool things.
Okay, and while we're on that topic, Saskia has asked a question from, I think, her son, Max.
Hi, Max.
Is there. Hi, Max. Question about the school hours.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'll let you take that one. And also another question about lunch and vegetables at Green School.
Lots of vegetables. School starts at 8:15. Yeah, so about 8 to 8:15, everyone's coming to school. And school finishes, they will do lunch for nearly an hour in the middle of the day. And school finishes at 3 to 3:15, depending on the age of the child. Our gardens here surrounding all of our classrooms bring the fresh produce to the table. I suppose it's a little bit different in COVID right now, but we're vegetarian whilst on campus.
Love
organic.
All our kids to know where their food comes from. So having these productive gardens, and if you could actually see, we're looking beyond the camera actually, and just beyond the camera.
Yeah.
You know, I can see garlic chives, I can see tomatoes, I can see bok choy, I can see eggplant, lemongrass. It goes on and on and on. And this is just right here where we happen to be. And when you walk the campus, you will see a lot of these productive gardens. So children getting hands-on, getting their hands in the earth and their feet in the mud and learning where food has come from, preparing food, and eating great food. And that's all part of the education too. So trying new things is part of the experience. But as Sal said, we eat locally, seasonally, sustainably, organically wherever we can in Bali, and ethically as well, which means on our, as part of our normal school lunch program, we don't have meat. We're vegetarian in our school lunch offerings, but kids can bring lunch from home. They can take lunch here ordinarily. At the moment, we're not serving school lunch, but we're hoping that'll come back on.
It's important, very important, I think, for all of us to understand. You know, I suppose I was raised on a farm and had this understanding embedded in me, but I realised that, you know, a lot of people, they don't get the opportunity to go from seed to the table. And we actually have part of a learning program here called Seeds to Table, which takes kids through permaculture principles, takes kids through how to look after a garden, how to plant and look after, and then harvest and cook and eat the food, which is pretty amazing in itself.
You know, I saw some art from early years last Friday. They were painting with beetroot pulp.
Yeah.
So they were using that as a paint, and that was after a cooking class. And some beautiful, very vibrant pink, fuchsia pink kind of artwork.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It's fabulous. All right, we're going to jump. We've been talking a little bit about lower school, but Ebru here has a question about the high school experience and grade 11 and 12 in particular. And what is often a question, which is around how does Green School prepare graduates for their next thing beyond Green School? And I guess how can people find out some more information about that?
Yeah, again, there's some pretty specific information on the website, but, you know, I suppose we honour everyone's pathway here as best as possible, whether it's graduating from grade 12 with our high school diploma and moving to straight into a university. We know that isn't everyone's pathway. That is definitely a possibility, and that happens. We've had students go from grade 12 to Ivy League schools, colleges, universities around the world. I suppose there's it's difficult to answer that in one sentence, because the pathways do vary. We've seen students go out and create a business. We've seen students intern with other awesome organisations, with Green School Bali itself. Students go straight to university. Students do bridging courses, a 6-month bridging course if they need to. You know, developing an international recognised curriculum and then creating a high school diploma around it. And there are challenges within it, because every school, every university, every home country has their own sort of requirements. That's sort of changing a little bit, though. You know, even with COVID, cancelling the SATs and things like that is changed. I think the university entrance part is changing. I know high school students come out alive. They come out well-spoken, they come out respectful, they come out with an e-portfolio, they come out with a project that's delivered to the community in terms of their greenstone, and the options are endless. And so we do concentrate on the wide spectrum of options for students.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we're not in the business really of sort of incubating, you know, to test scores and that sort of thing. And we respect that that's a different model, and that's a great choice for some people. They're waving again. That's so cute. Hi, guys. Long time till they're graduating.
Yeah.
But I've had two of my children have graduated from Green School. One's at university. He's studying economics at an Australian university, and that was after a gap year that took him to permaculture farms in Nepal for working on some bioreefs, some artificial reef projects, research projects here in Bali, picking fruit, all kinds of things. And I think the big gift that many of us parents feel, I think, out of our high school program is when our children graduate, to have a good sense of themselves, to know themselves really well, to feel resilient, to feel drawn to things that give them a sense of purpose, and to move through the world with those critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving skills. I think that is a big part, that skills development and personal values development as part of the high school program.
There's some good information about the alumni on the
website. There is an alumni page on the website, and maybe Leanne might kindly put that in the chat for you folks, so you can click on that and check out some of our graduate stories. So let's go to a couple more of practical questions on quarantine at the moment. So you heard from Fabrice in the video. So visas and travel are a bit of a moving feast. We just welcomed, cheers, I think around 40 new students this semester in January, just a month or so ago. And they've come to us from all corners of the globe. It's not easy to mobilise these days, but it is possible. And we're really excited to have welcomed them into the community. At the moment, a 14-day quarantine period is required in Indonesia. And at the moment, flights are coming via Jakarta, not directly to Bali. So people are doing a 5-day quarantine there, and then they come over to Bali and they self-isolate at home for their remaining 9 days or so. And then we are here with open arms virtually. Not necessarily. We're normally a very tactile community. We love a hug, so it's a bit tough for us, but we'll get there.
We'll get through this.
We'll hug you later. That's right. All right. Okay, so question from George. Again, another good practical question. Thank you. What's the average or rough ratio of applications to successful admissions? And this is in particular for early years or primary. I think, Sal, for next school year, 2021-22, certainly in semester 1, we're not seeking really to grow much as a school. We have 340 students right now, but we will have some families that will need to leave, and we might open up some new spaces in August, and then quite a few more, we think, in January.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think the main thing is to get in touch with admissions. If you really do want to activate an enrolment, get in touch with admissions. Leanne, I'm sure, is, as I speak, putting the admissions email in the chat. So you know where to go. Check out the website and contact admissions. That's the best way. Getting an application in early and complete is the best way to secure a spot. So depends a little bit where spaces open up in the different neighbourhoods, but we'd love to talk to you about that. Okay.
This is so much fun.
I love
the hot seat when she says, okay, I've got a good one here.
Well, I don't.
I'm like, oh.
Every question is equal.
Every question
is equal. So I'm trying to stay on track here. This is kind of a big question, but it's a really good one from Ebru, asking about how Green School is recognised in other countries. So I suppose this is a little bit about families that might come for a year or two and then go back or go ahead to somewhere else from here, as well as our graduates.
Yeah. I've been head of middle school and now head of for teaching and learning here for 2 years. I've had absolutely zero problems with students transitioning out of Green School Bali back to their home country whatsoever. I've had to supply reports and school prospectuses and things like that. No drama whatsoever. I'm not sure if that sort of answers that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when anybody, and this goes to George, your question as well, I think when people move in and out of any educational system, even from state to state sometimes, definitely from country to country, they will inevitably find themselves ahead on some things, behind in others, just depends on the sort of sequencing. But I think the important message is, you know, that we do run all of those proficiency type classes and courses. So we are a progressive school, but we are not so alternative that you would find your child is completely out of synchronicity. And what we anecdotally know, and from our follow-up with families that have come and have moved on from Bali, is that it's those skills, those critical thinking skills, creative problem solving, communication skills, and I think their general understanding of world issues and themselves as a human in the world is really what sets them apart, and we do see they have definitely accelerated on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Another thing I think our students in general accelerate on is this connection to learning. You know, we want learning to be fun and meaningful, and I think with an experience at Green School, all students start to realise that learning is just a part of life. It's not just something that happens 9 to 3, Monday to Friday. And that learning through the learning program here, connected to nature, connected to people, provides an opportunity for students to really engage with their learning. And if you can have that, then you're learning more than most people.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, Green School's not for everyone, and it's good to talk about that too. And any family that does want to start an enrolment process or even just start a conversation with us, you know, we really do want to get to know each other and be able to share. It's a very stimulating environment here. It's very vibrant, and it doesn't suit every learner. And we're not perfect
either. We're not perfect.
That's
that comes with sort of designing a new model of learning in a new school.
Yeah.
Community.
Well, any school.
Yeah. And it's challenging, but I honestly think that those challenges are opportunities for us as individuals and as community and as families to grow. You know, it's hot and sweaty and it's monsoonal rain. Getting down and dirty in the garden isn't for everyone to start with. Having even the choice to choose and design your own learning journey as a middle school and a high school student sounds great, but sometimes takes students a little while to get into. Yeah, we're definitely not perfect and it's definitely not for everyone, but we do believe there are aspects of the program, the learning program, that do suit most people. Yeah.
So, George, I think Sal actually received your question telepathically because George has actually asked a question.
Got you, George. I'm here with you, George.
I love this around, you know, bugs and critters and, snakes. You know, all the gnarly bits of being outdoors and in the jungle. And that can be a new thing for children too. And so what is your experience in terms of children getting comfortable with all of that?
Well, I suppose it's different for everyone, I suppose. You know, where you're coming from and your life experiences always influence how you experience the next and new thing. You know, even if it is difficult, I think, for some people to get down and dirty in the garden, or if it's new that there might be a dog or a cat that walks through your classroom, or possibly even a snake, if that's new, then I just think there's an opportunity there for us to connect with nature again. I think the school being Wallace and built in nature, not on top of it, out of nature, not just out of concrete and steel. I think there's an opportunity for us as educators and as families that choose to be a part of the Green School community to connect with nature, to reconnect with nature. You know, we only have one planet, and I think that first step in preserving nature and learning about sustainability, and whether it's an individual or a family or a community's choice to live sustainably, I think that first point is a connection. And sometimes that's a bit challenging, but that's okay.
It is that, you know, if you love it, you'll protect it. And, you know, the wonder of the natural world, the beauty in it.
I just remember my schooling was just so disconnected to nature. It was a government school in Australia and a private school later on, but the school I taught in Australia, nature just seemed to be so separate from it. But when you look at the world and life in general, we are actually just part of nature, and the access to nature and the ability to connect in a real way, whether it's physically or emotionally or however it is to your natural setting, is something that's really special and important to us at Green School.
But we always love those questions are great, and we love to be open and authentic when we have these conversations. It is, you know, we're in the tropics here. It's actually beautiful right now. The temperature's beautiful. It's just gorgeous.
You wait 5 minutes, it'll be raining.
But we get the huge downpours.
We only get the downpours at like 3 o'clock when school just finishes. Yeah, and everyone's leaving. I had that the other day.
That's right. There are mosquitoes, there are lizards, there are, you know, there is all of that. And so, you know, these are good things to think about. And I know it's not easy just to come and take a look around.
It's not so sticky hot though. Like, we don't have air conditioning, and I think a lot of people probably sort of, you know, where's the air conditioners? Well, there's no walls, so the air conditioner's not going to work, but it isn't really that hot here.
The kids are fine. It's the adults sometimes we get
says Kate with the fan.
I've got my fan with me at all times, but I never see a child with one. But I think also it's just things become normalized for the children. So they spend a little time here, and this is what all the children are doing and the teachers are doing, and it just becomes part of their daily experience.
Yeah, when you think about it, the concept of normalizing being connected to nature is an amazing gift that we can give all of the community.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we could talk about that all day.
Just go on and on and
on. But back to the list. Okay, so some questions here about, I guess, life in Bali, transport to and from school, and where families live in Bali. These are great questions. Thank you for asking those. There's a few people that have asked similar questions.
We usually run a Biobus service. We have 7 Biobuses, which was a student project through the high school. Awesome student project, collecting used cooking oil that would normally go into sort of like a black market, which is unhealthy, or get, you know, poured into the drain and end up in the ocean. So we collect the oil and turn it into biodiesel and run our biobuses. It's not happening at the moment, but it's on hold, it's on ice. So, you know, the majority, I'd say you can live very close to the school in the immediate local community of Shibang. It's a beautiful place with amazing, beautiful local people. But, you know, I'd say the average transit's probably about 20 to 30 minutes for families. You can choose to live in Canggu, which is a little bit more fast-paced ocean surfer type world, or come to Ubud and live near me, which is a little bit more chilled in the jungle. There are families that live in Sanur, which is a little bit further away and quieter. So the options are endless, and I suppose it's up to the family and what sort of lifestyle you're looking for.
Yeah, well, Leanne, who's with us today from our community centre, and Chica and others in the team, Jennifer, if you've contacted admissions, you may have been in touch with her. We're all here to support families. So when a family enrolls at Green School, if you've been made an offer and you've accepted and you're coming, we roll out all the support services to you. So this means giving you more information around all the practicalities of transport and where to live, through to, you know, how to get your phone working here, and a whole range of different really practical things. And we really source the collective wisdom of the ongoing parent community at Green School Bali to support our new incoming families. So we roll all of that out once a family's at a certain point. But there are different enclaves of residential communities where Green School families tend to gravitate. So we like to share all of that with our new families so they find the right place for them.
And you probably will get lost the first time you try and find the school. We are in the jungle, which is a great thing. Talk to me about getting lost and the education that you can get from getting lost. But honestly, like, getting to school is probably one of my favourite times of the day, and I get on my scooter or jump in the car with my son and come to school through a bit of village and a bit of jungle and some rice fields. It's a beautiful way to start compared to what I know if I was living in Melbourne and jumping on a train or a tram or a bus and commuting for an hour, which I've done in different continents, London, etc. I find that just Bali in general, living in Bali is just an amazing thing. Obviously, I've been here for 8 years and I've got no plan on moving yet. So
yeah. Which is probably a nice point to just talk a little about our efforts and our intention to be connected locally here. You and I are both guests here in Bali. Sal, myself, and all the other families that have come from the 40-odd different places, corners of the planet that are all here in Bali, as well as our Balinese and our Indonesian families. And we have a question about scholarships here. But before we get to that, perhaps it would be good to talk a little bit about our commitment to being local, learning, respecting, and being part of the experience here.
Oh, definitely not. We're not an international school in an international bubble. Our gates are open to the wider community, the local Balinese community, Indonesian community. We strongly believe that the learning experiences of our whole community are enriched by a strong connection with the Balinese. We celebrate some ceremonies with them. We participate in special events. We have 37 local students on scholarship here, which is an amazing opportunity for us to give just a little bit, to give a learning program, a learning experience to those students. But I find that we learn a lot more from our local scholars and their families. For me, learning is one of the most important factors and aspects of learning is building relationships, building strong relationships, and whether that's building a relationship building a relationship with your peers, your teacher, your mentors, building a relationship with learning, but also building a relationship with the community that you live in is number one priority for us. I think it's important to know that the concept of community of learners, I've talked about it before. It includes, it's not just an expat international community of learners. It's a local community, it's a global community, and that a most important part of it is our local Indonesian Balinese community.
It's a piece of the Green School experience that maybe new families and people that are thinking about the school aren't really contemplating too much, but it's just such a part of the history of the school and the school today.
Yeah.
And Indonesian children by number are our second biggest group by nationality in the school. And as Sal mentioned, 37, I think, of those students are on full scholarship at Green School. And our school, I'm really proud to say, has a huge give back program with those full scholarships to 37 children, which is quite a big proportion of our overall community. So there's a process. So for Balinese children, they can apply to the scholar program and selections are made, and there are usually new scholars are added each year as the school has grown and as our scholars have graduated over the years, and our commitment to them is to provide their education all the way through to graduation, whether they start in at 3 years old or they come in at different points.
It's definitely a hidden gem, I think, in the possibilities of learning within your family and for you as adults, not just your kids, but the opportunity to learn another language, Bahasa Indonesian, the opportunity to learn about a different culture is definitely something that I know that families value a lot from their experience here.
It's fantastic. So have a question from Alina. Do we have any families from the Ukraine studying at Green School?
Yeah, we do. I'd have to get my computer out.
I would hazard a guess and say yes, but I can't be 100% sure, but I think we could have a look.
Yeah.
We normally have around 40 different nationalities.
Last year there was 42 different nationalities
42.
And 14 different nationalities within the faculty team. It's about the same. Probably maybe the school's a little bit smaller this year, so maybe not 42 different nationalities, but definitely very multicultural.
And if we don't at present have a family from the Ukraine, we would love to add that to the mix. There's a question here on Tulum and I guess just the Green School network. Tulum is not open yet. We don't have a date for that one. We've, of course, got the doors open just recently in South Africa.
Yeah, hello, South Africa.
And then New Zealand. Which was the second school after the founding school here at Green School Bali to open. So just keep your eyes out, I think, on the Green School social media platforms, and I'm sure you can stay up to date on all that's happening with Tulum. A quick question about Green School English. So some of you might be interested in Green School English, which is an immersive English language program, really with the unique element of it being right here at Green School in the jungle. And that program is open for application and you can join for shorter periods. It comes in different modules. So you can do 1 or I think up to 3 modules consecutively and then apply to the school and transition into the main program. But even our children in Green School English are connected to the main program and the children.
In the Green School Bali classes.
Yeah.
And they can be, you could do a Green School English term, a module, and that would be it. Or you could do 1 or 2 and then move and apply into the Green School Bali experience as well.
Yeah. And those programs usually run alongside the main program. So during the semester when school is open, I'm not sure the question is around summer programs. Well, it's not really summer here, but July,
It's
August.
always summer here.
It's always summer in Bali. July and August, and I'm not 100% sure, but please reach out to admissions. It may be the case if there are a number of families that do want to take a program, then we might run it over that period of time. So please do let us know if you're interested.
We run some pretty cool holiday camp experiences in the iHub last semester,
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Kids coming into the Innovation Hub and doing projects during the holiday time.
Yeah. We didn't actually include much of our Innovation Hub on the tour that we recorded earlier, but it really is, it's an amazing place where technology kind of meets the jungle.
Sometimes I go in there and there's like 3 or 4 classes in the iHub. I'm like, well, what's everyone else doing? They're all in the iHub. They're either in the Kembali using the recycling station and doing something there, making some art, or then they're in the bio lab, so using the off products or the byproducts when we turn the use cooking oil into the biodiesel. They'll be using the 3D printers, maybe doing some robotics, some Lego, laser cutting, those sorts of things. Yeah, I do sometimes go into the iHub and think where everyone's here, basically.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot destination on the campus. So we call it the iHub. It's our community innovation space, which is really a maker space, but a very green maker space. So we aim for 0 waste, and the whole thing is solar powered. But we have some really, really cool equipment in there. So
some cool people in there, and our parents have integrated and come in and help.
We
us
all
out
want to
with
be in
skills.
there. The grown-ups and the children. Which brings me to my next point, which is I have a great question from Alec here about parents finding work in Bali or whether they work remotely. I think it's fair to say we have such a fascinating parent community, all different professions, artists, entrepreneurs. We've got the full range here, which is a never-ending source of inspiration, I suppose, to the students, but to us as well. And a lot of those families do work remotely more and more, and especially during this COVID times when people have realised they can actually work from any place in the world almost. So we do have a lot of parents that work remotely, and ordinarily we have a parent co-working space right here on the campus, so you won't find faster Wi-Fi in Bali than
And
right
better
here
coffee.
now. And better coffee and the coconuts.
And the coconuts.
Than right here on our campus.
You can't just sort of turn up to Bali and go get a job at like in other countries. So you need your work visa there. It's called a kitas. You can start a business visa here and starting businesses up. I know a lot of families come here and think they're going to have a holiday and then get an awesome business idea and start a business.
Yeah, we've had parents collaborate and start businesses together. Last year we had a group of parents that started an electric scooter business here in Bali, which was fantastic. And really we love the idea of just as part of the model of the school, creating the space, a physical space, and some sort of curation of different programs and events that help parents connect with each other, share their expertise with each other, share their expertise with the school, and just bring that idea of walllessness to life when it comes to our parents being involved. But we also love our parents to kickstart their own ideas and their own initiatives. And we've had a lot of parents over the years that have done things environmental in nature to help this beautiful island of Bali, or other community-driven sort of projects, as well as starting businesses. So really limited by your imagination, I think, on that front. At the moment, our parent co-working space isn't open, but we are still running some programs for parents to come connect with each other, and also to take experiences around Bali as well. So as usual, we dig deep to find creative solutions. Yes. Even in the trickiest of times.
Got another good one, Kate?
Yeah, let's see. I've got plenty of good ones here. Okay, here's a question about applying to green school and living in Bali without parents.
Oh.
So I'm assuming this is from a potential student, and I'm assuming high school.
Yeah.
High school level. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have
Makoto.
boarding facilities. We have gone down that track and it didn't really work. We do have part of our high school enrollment policy, the guardianship policy. We can share that if you contact admissions. But, you know, Bali's a fun place to be, but it's, you know, as a 15-year-old, I'd say you could just jump on a motorbike and go and do what you like. So you need to understand that we have a duty of care, that it is important to us when you're at school, but also really important to us out of school time. And yes, you can come without your parents as long as they know, but we would need to be a part of the process of finding out who your guardian would be here and sort of vetting that and going through the process.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we love the parents to be part of the experience here with the children as partners in their child's education. That is really important to us. So there are rare exceptions where we might give a permission, but it is by the school's approval, and we don't facilitate or don't broker a sort of homestaying sort of program. But if you know a family here and they're known to us and everybody feels good, there's a possibility there. Yeah.
Good
Great.
question.
Thank you for asking the question. Yeah. That's fantastic. So another question here about medical support at school and in Bali. So we can talk about our first aid station.
Yeah, got a great first aid station with 3 or 4 nurses in there. Probably most of the time dealing with some cuts and grazes. In general, the medical here has improved significantly over the past sort of 8 years that I've been here. Get some good health insurance, and the hospital facilities and access to good doctors is nearly as good as you'll get in your home country.
Yeah, I've been here for 10 years with my family, and things have changed a lot over that time. And I think, Sal, you're right, having medical insurance is important. And then with that, you know, there is good quality care that's accessible. But of course, you know, we encourage families to weigh all of these things up when they're making their decision about whether coming to Bali and whether green school's right for them. So they're good questions to ask. And thanks for sharing that. It prompts us all to think about that. All our families that are contemplating coming to green school. Yeah. And that's great. And just while we're on that topic, Sal, just thinking about the COVID situation here in Indonesia right now and the school. And I think it's good to point out, we're not, as you said in the beginning, we're not shielded from all of that. We've been so fortunate. We have a permission to be able to operate on-site learning here. Our full campus isn't open, but we have access to a lot of our vast campus and most of our learning spaces. And we have this blended program. We've been fortunate to have that. But of course, at any point, things can change. And I think that's good for families that are thinking about coming to know that too. Like any school in the world, I guess we can't guarantee that continuously the doors will remain open.
Yeah, sometimes we might have to move to some short-term home-based learning. Move away from the blended learning program. The blended program, is some time at school, most of the time for our lower school, our middle school as well, 4 days a week. It really depends. We're definitely not immune to COVID, and we take the health and safety of all of our community, not just the students, but parents and our faculty and the local people that work here and their families as well. So, it's definitely not, Bali hasn't really locked down yet, but there are times that we have had to pivot and move to home-based learning for a little bit of time if there was some COVID in the community. It's important to know that. And importantly, the campus might close for a week, but the learning still goes on. And I believe that our teachers are pretty good at bringing a green school education into the homes of people when we do have to go online. Yeah. That said, look, let's be honest, if you've got a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, or even lower primary, that home-based learning, online learning is really difficult. And we understand that. We do everything possible to make that as easy as possible for families.
Yeah.
But we're not immune to COVID and the impact that COVID cases in a school community.
Yeah, so again, these are all things to take into the mix. I think everybody in the world, us included, are really looking forward over the next few months to things improving, but we also want to remain realistic. But in some ways, Sal, if you were designing a school now for the current situation in the world, you would probably design something like this.
Yeah, you'd want great ventilation, so i.e. no walls, and a lot of space, and not just space inside buildings underneath roofs, but space outside in the garden and things like that. Yeah, I think this is a pretty COVID-friendly campus.
Yeah. So that just on that topic then, just in terms of the number of children we have in the school right now, we have around 340 children, 340 children enrolled. We have been bigger. Yeah. We have been bigger. We started off a bit smaller in semester 1, and we had some families leave Bali that have now been able to return. So we're 340 this semester, probably a little bit more next August, and then bigger again next January. That's how we're sort of seeing things unfold. But
yeah, we think it's important as a small community to be able to pivot during these times if we need to go online, or the world's just a little bit more challenging at the moment. So in previous years, I think we got to 530 in the last school year. It was a much bigger challenge to pivot to online learning, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been nice in some ways to be a smaller community and to be more sort of interconnected at this time and be able to support each other through this period. So the class sizes themselves, there's a question in here, I can't remember where it is now, I haven't got my glasses on, but there's a question in here about class sizes, I think too. So Sal, maybe you want to share, for example, in primary school, what the average size of a class might be and who the teaching team is that wraps around those children.
So sort of a summary would be that each primary class, grade 1 through to 5, would have maximum about 20 students. Some of them have only 15 students in it. Now, with those 15 to 20 children, those 15 to 20 students, there are 3 adults in the room. They're all qualified teachers. So an expat teacher, an Indonesian teacher, and another Indonesian co-teacher that bring together as a team the learning program for each grade. There are also specialists in primary, so as an art specialist, a music specialist that students go off to, green studies and projects as well. Normally, I'd say in primary and down into early years, that ratio is around about 1:6, and because those cohorts, those peer groups stay together, and when they move to another group of 3 teachers. You know, it is about, you know, one teacher to 6 students, 7 students for them. It gets a little bit more, the student ratio, through middle school. I taught in middle school. I taught some really awesome thematics and maths classes with 22, 25 kids in it, which I loved. They seem to like having a bit bigger classes as well. And then I suppose the other end of the scale is when you design a program that allows students to choose their own classes for some or all of their time at school. You do have classes where there's less than 10 students in an advanced chemistry class, things like that. So it varies, but you know, the teacher-student ratio here is pretty awesome, and especially for the lower school, for primary and early years. Being wallless, surrounded by a jungle and a river that runs beside the campus, we take the health and safety of everyone here, but especially the students, as priority number 1, and we look after them.
That's great. And Sal, you're talking about the teachers there in the classrooms, and maybe you could share a little. We have a question here from Natasha about the background of teachers, and this is, I mean, gosh, we could have a whole conversation just about that. We've a pretty amazing group of people. Yeah. We have marine biologists, we have writers, published writers, we have people that have done many things.
Global citizens, highly educated, passionate about education, passionate about teaching, love coming to work, love connecting with nature, connecting with students, innovative, hardworking, but awesome people as well. I think that's important to know. You know, in terms of hiring, you know, of course you're looking at professionalism aspects of their teaching practice, but you're also looking at building a team of awesome people. And I believe that's one thing that's always stood Green School Bali out. Not only we got the awesome educators, awesome professionals, but you get these people here that are connected, that are passionate about changing education, passionate about sustainability, passionate about theatre, passionate about arts. That just, you know, they bring the learning magic. You know, I think a lot of people might come to Bali and come to Green School for the buildings, for this amazing architecture and the cool jungle campus, but they stay for the learning program, and that learning program is created by an awesome team of amazing teachers.
Yeah, and of course all our teachers are qualified teachers, certified
by law,
teachers.
They need to be.
Yes. Many who have master's qualifications as well as undergraduate degrees in all kinds of different things. And I am constantly fascinated by, for example, a couple of teachers that come to mind. One languages teacher in high school who also kickstarted our surf ambassador program, which I know there was a question about here, which is around getting kids out into the surf as a physical well-being thing, but really bringing awareness to the ocean pollution, and starting actual projects that make a difference in relation to trash and pollution on our beaches and in our oceans. And this is a great thing for teachers at Green School. They get the space and the support to work with the kids to find those sort of things and activate them and bring them into the learning program, so that the program's not so set, as you talked about before, Sal, that there's no space to follow where there's an identified problem and where students and teachers are really motivated to do something. Which I think is fantastic.
I think countless examples, isn't it? You've got the Student Ocean Ambassadors program, which started as just a group of high school students wanting to go for a surf on a Wednesday morning, basically. And it's turned into Surfers for Diversity, working with disabled kids. They've started off the Last Straw, so plastic straws, a campaign against plastic straws. They do beach cleanups, they do first aid and surf rescue courses. It's become quite an amazing.
They have a festival every year, which is really
surf soap festival called Woe. It's pretty awesome, but that's just one example, and then there are just countless examples of teachers bringing their passions, integrating it into a learning program, and providing access to students to create new passions.
Yeah, I noticed a couple of weeks ago, one of our high school humanities teachers that had the children down in the yoga studio, and I went down in there, and he's just a fantastic humanities teacher, runs really intriguing courses and classes, but he was in there standing on his head. And that's it's sort of surprising but not surprising all at the same time. Okay. Okay, so Leanne's giving me the little signal there. So time for a couple more questions and answers. So let's see, what does online learning look like? And actually, Vera, just the way that question is written prompts, I think, the answer in itself.
Yeah,
online.
We don't like to really think of it as online. I think the learning is facilitated, the instructional part of it is facilitated online. We like to think of most of our home-based learning as an opportunity for students to learn when they're not able to be on campus, to learn project-style learning, do collaborative work online with other friends. I think there's an opportunities for kids across the school, regardless of their age, to do projects big and small. I think for the older students, it looks a little bit different. For example, right now, as an online day, I know our early years students have 3 check-ins during the day online in a virtual meeting, and they set up their projects before when they're in person, and they hand the resources out. I know this, I think it was this morning, it could have been yesterday, earliers were doing a Jackson Pollock art project at home. So a lot of the instructional part and help to start a project is the online facet, and then we like our students to get away from the screen and to do some real learning which isn't online.
So my son, who's in grade 9, has actually, I saw yesterday, had a good inspection of something he's been working on, which is an enormous new vegetable patch, which has been raised up. He's built a bamboo frame around it, and got some help from his sister to start propagating some seedlings. And so I think that's a key point, that online learning is not what we're doing in our blended program. Distance learning or home learning is a better way to phrase it. But I think, again, it comes down to our teachers, your team, Sal, that get together and activate and come up with creative ways to engage the children and get them hands-on with something, even when they can't be on the campus all the time.
And some of that online stuff's really cool. Andy in the primary school coming with a different costume every day. There's some pretty amazing things that we're doing. It's I wouldn't probably recommend an online learning program for anyone in primary and early years. I think that part of that age group specifically is the connection, the in-person connection, and we all know how hard it must be. I don't know from experience right now how hard it must be to engage a 3-year-old or even an 8 and 9, 10-year-old in an online lesson at home. But there are things that we're learning with our middle school and our high school students, with things we're seeing them learn, whether it's time management, self-management. Even my 12-year-old son right now, I don't know what time it is, but he's at home right now, and I'm pretty sure he's gone to his thematic class this afternoon. He should be in it right now. And to think that they're just taking control of their learning in a different way is a really nice thing to see.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much. There have been so many wonderful questions here. I just want to grab a final one or two before we wrap up. So I see a question here about how children or families are selected to attend. And we're a very open school. We're a very inclusive school. And to some extent, it's sort of first in, first served, I think is the term. So getting in touch with our admissions team, doing your own kind of due diligence, having a look on the website, having a chat to our admissions team, joining sessions like this. Once people have an application in process, even if they've just started it, we are in touch with you. So Leanne is in charge of all of that and does a beautiful job in staying connected to our applicant and our enrolled families. And as people move through that process, we go from giving you information and updates and help with the process to apply, through to then support for uplifting and kind of moving to Bali and settling into the community. So our admissions team are really the point people for all of that. But you can see on the website, what we're encouraging and asking applicant families to do is to do that research and think deeply about whether this is the right school for them. And if it is, and if that application process goes through and is reviewed, then it's really just a case of making sure we've got space. And that's what it comes down to. So if there's not a space available in August, if you're applying to August, then you might have a space in January, for example. But please get in touch with our admissions team. That's the best way. Lots of resources for you if you're thinking of applying, to stay in touch and keep this conversation going. I know there is a question there from someone who applied for a position at Green School. Hi, and thank you so much. We will be in touch. We won't forget that. I have it here on the list, so we'll get back to you separately on that. Okay, and then I think that has answered most of the big questions, Sal.
That's a fair bit of information, combining like the videos and then the Q&A. But, you know, there is a lot of information on the website, and whether that's curriculum information, there's some really short videos that describe our learning programs in the different learning neighbourhoods. There's curriculum documents, documentation, more summary documents. I think, like Kate said, we talked about the alumni page, which is really detailed in where our students go after life at Green School. There's a Crazy Peaceful Pirate Principal blog if you want to learn a little bit about me and what goes in on site in here. I think the website is a pretty amazing resource. And I'd encourage people, jump on Google, get on YouTube and type in Greenstone and have a look at what some of our grade 12 students, how they end their learning journey here. Or it's a quest in YouTube as well. There's quite an amazing array of resources to learn about Green School Bali online.
It's great. Yeah, have a look at all of that. Things are not as they normally are quite. For Green School, and I know there are still some questions in there around transport and this and that and whatever. Some things aren't operating quite as normal. We think what is happening is incredibly impactful, even more so in these times than normal, perhaps, for our students, in terms of looking after their well-being as well as their academic education and their optimism for the future, which is so important to them and to us. So we thank you so much for joining us. It was really nice. Love seeing some of those cameras on. We might have a wave. There we go.
Yeah, thanks so much.
The camera's here, but we're looking at you on the screen over here. So, oh, fantastic. Oh, look, there's some more cameras on. Really great questions. I apologize if I missed yours. Leanne was feeding them to me, doing my best to work through them and grab all of those questions and answer as much as we can. Anything else, please do get in touch with the admissions team. Have a look on the website. Stay well, stay healthy, and stay in touch.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.